All right, let's dive into one of the most incredible blueprints ever recorded. We're in Exodus 26, where God gives Moses these unbelievably detailed instructions for building his sanctuary, a real, physical dwelling place for God himself, right here on earth. Let's explore what this amazing structure really shows us. You know, that's the question that really sits at the heart of this whole chapter, isn't it? Why would the God of the entire universe care so much about the exact number of curtains, or the specific type of wood, or even the color of the thread? Well, it's because this was never, ever just a tent. It was a physical picture of a spiritual reality, a holy place where every single detail had a profound purpose. And that purpose? Wow. It was for God to literally dwell right in the middle of his people. I mean, think about it. After rescuing them from Egypt, he didn't keep his distance. No, he made a way for his holy presence to be right there, to travel with them. This building, the Tabernacle, it became the very center of Israel's camp and the center of their relationship with him. So what's fascinating is how God lays out the plan. He starts from the inside and works his way out. And the very first thing he describes is the most beautiful, the most intricate part, the inner curtains that would actually form the walls and the ceiling of the holy place itself. God's instructions started with 10 magnificent curtains. Now, the number 10 in Scripture often points to divine order and completeness, and that is absolutely not an accident here. Each and every curtain had to be measured precisely, made to be identical, really reflecting the perfection of the one who was designing it. And the materials themselves, they were like a heavenly palette of colors. You have the fine white linen, which speaks of purity. Then there's blue, representing the heavens, God's domain. Purple, well, that's the color of royalty for the King of Kings. And scarlet, the color of blood, was this constant pointer to the need for sacrifice and the source of all life. And get this, woven right into this stunning fabric were images of cherubim, these powerful angelic beings who guard the very presence of God. The scripture calls it cunning work, which means it was masterful, spirit-inspired artistry. Can you just imagine standing inside that space, looking up and seeing these heavenly guardians woven into the very fabric above you? Incredible. Now, the way these curtains were joined together was just as precise. They were made in 2 sets of 5. 50 blue loops were put on one edge to meet 50 loops on the other, and they were all fastened together with 50 clasps of pure gold. And just like that, through this process, 10 separate pieces became one single, seamless covering, a beautiful picture of perfect unity. But of course, that glorious, beautiful interior couldn't just be exposed to the harsh desert, right? So God's design included a whole series of protective layers, and each one had a specific job to do in shielding this sacred space. So immediately over that beautiful linen was a durable tent made of 11 curtains of goat's hair. Then, on top of that, a covering of ram skins that were dyed red, again, that color pointing to sacrifice. And the final outermost layer was this tough, weatherproof skin, maybe from a porpoise or a sea cow, designed to handle all the sun and sand the wilderness could throw at it. This creates such a powerful contrast, don't you think? From the outside, the tabernacle probably looked pretty rugged, kind of unassuming, just built to last on a long journey. There was absolutely no clue from the exterior about the breathtaking, colorful gold and silver glory that was hidden inside. And that teaches us something so profound. Its true spiritual beauty was veiled. It was reserved only for those who were invited to come close to God. Okay, so what about this structure that held all of this up? I mean, this portable building had to be incredibly strong and stable and totally worthy of what it contained. The frame itself was basically an engineering marvel. The framework was made of shittim wood, which we know today as acacia. Now, this was a really practical choice. It's a tough, dense wood that resists rot and bugs, so it's perfect for the desert. But then, this humble, earthly wood was completely covered, overlaid with pure gold, transforming it from something ordinary into something divinely beautiful and glorious. The design itself was a model of strength and symmetry. You had 20 massive gold-covered boards making up the north wall, and that was perfectly mirrored by another 20 on the south. The west wall was built with 6 boards, but, and this is clever, it was anchored by 2 specially designed corner boards that just locked the whole structure together, giving it this immense stability. And these huge golden boards rested on an absolutely incredible foundation. Each one was set into 2 sockets of solid silver, for a total of 100 sockets. Now, this wasn't just about stability. This was immensely valuable, symbolizing that this was a structure whose very foundation was built on redemption. So now we arrive at what might be the most critical feature inside the tabernacle, the veil. And let me tell you, this was not just a curtain, it was a divine boundary between God and humanity. Behind this veil was the most holy place, also called the Holy of Holies. This was the most sacred space on the entire planet. This is where the Ark of the Covenant would be placed, and it was here that the manifest glory of God himself would dwell. The verse itself says it all, really. This veil, made of that same glorious blue, purple, scarlet, and fine linen with the cherubim woven in, it created an absolute separation. It was a constant visual reminder that a perfectly holy God cannot just be approached casually by sinful people. But there's a crucial detail here that's revealed in the foundations of the pillars. The 4 pillars that held up that sacred inner veil, they stood in sockets of silver, the metal of redemption. But the 5 pillars at the outer entrance to the tent, they stood in sockets of brass, which is a metal that often symbolizes judgment. You see that? It shows this deliberate transition. To approach God, you have to pass from judgment to redemption. So as we start to pull all these amazing details together, it becomes so clear that this was not just some architectural plan. No, it was something so much more profound. Every color, every single material, every number, every measurement, it was all deliberate. Nothing was random. God was giving Moses a physical copy, a pattern of a heavenly reality. He was teaching his people, through this physical building, these deep spiritual truths about his own nature, his holiness, and his incredible plan for redemption. And that really leaves us with a final, powerful question to just sit with and reflect on. The book of Hebrews tells us that this tabernacle was a shadow of heavenly things. So if this earthly tent, with all of its stunning detail and priceless materials, was just the shadow, can we even begin to imagine what the reality in heaven must be like?